UConn was unstoppable this entire season, so what went wrong in the Final Four? Hey guys, and welcome back to Baseline Full Court Pressed, the podcast where women's basketball gets the spotlight, the smoke, and the respect. I'm your host, Patience, and today we'll be getting into just exactly how did UConn's season get flipped upside down and turned around in a matter of minutes. Just so we can grasp the momentum of this situation, let's go ahead and start off with who UConn was this season. UConn is a 12-time national championship team, and this year they went undefeated in the regular season as well as in conference play, and they ended with a record of 34 wins and 0 losses. 6 points is the largest deficit that UConn has had all season. So think about that. There's also only one game where UConn won within single digits. They are a team that shoots 53% from the field and 40% from the three-point line, with two of the best, most phenomenal players in the country, AZ Fudd and Sarah Strong. So needless to say, UConn is the standard. And so I have been seeing a lot of narratives being ran with, and I just want to go ahead and nip that in the bud. UConn did not lose because of the referees. That is number one. UConn did not lose because of another coach. UConn lost because South Carolina was simply the better team and the more composed team during that game. Also, UConn could not buy a bucket to save their lives. There are three distinct things that pop out to me as I watch that game. Number one is that UConn's offense completely collapsed. UConn scored only 48 points when they averaged 86 points per game. And that right there just shows you how inefficient their offense was this game. Shooting just 31% from the field and 29% from the three, making only 6 of their 21 three-point attempts. They're normally at 40, almost 50% from the three-point line. Unacceptable. They were also out-rebounded by South Carolina, 14-9 on the offensive side. EGOT, Tanaya Latson, and Joyce Edwards were all over the boards on both ends, and UConn could not stop them. They're used to being the aggressor and pushing the ball as fast as they can on an outlet and just going with the wind, setting it up, and just automatically going. Ball screen here, phase screen here, you pop to that side, we'll get you the ball. That's as simple as UConn is. UConn is a very well-oiled machine. But with a well-oiled machine, if one part is not oiled, the entire machine will fail. UConn is known for going on these runs where they put their opponents behind them and they shoot the lights out for a good 2 to 3, 4, 5 minutes straight. They went on maybe 7-0 run or 9-0 run with South Carolina, and that was late in the second half. In addition to my first reason, UConn also lost because South Carolina completely disrupted their system. South Carolina is known for their defense. They smother the player. They are a very high motor, high efficiency team. And yes, UConn is no stranger to hard defense, as they did just play Notre Dame, which is another efficient defensive team. And so they're not strangers to this type of defense. But what they are strangers to is South Carolina's motor. South Carolina took away their ball movement and their catch and shoot rhythm. UConn's guards and point guards could barely get open to even start the play or to start any kind of motion. So what were they forced to do? South Carolina forced UConn into a 1v1 game, making it in South Carolina's favor. If I could describe UConn's game and how they win so much in a sentence, it would be go through the lane, draw the defenders, kick out to the weak side three, and either AZ Fudd or somebody is going to be there to kick out for that three, and they are going to make it because they are just that efficient when shooting threes that 9 times out of 10, they are going to make it. Really 5 times out of 10 because they're almost at 50%. But you know what I'm trying to say. But as UConn is being forced into the one-on-ones, that creates sloppy passes, creates turnovers that South Carolina is going and did capitalize off of. And like I stated before, they had multiple minutes where they did not score, and it was South Carolina up to their 0. Fortunately for UConn, during their regular season, they did not have to adapt as much, but that did end up hurting them severely in the long run. Because offensively, UConn just could not adapt to South Carolina's smothered defense. Like I said, South Carolina has a motor like no other. UConn loves to utilize screens, back screens, drop screens, all kinds of screens to get their opposite sides open. But watching the game, no matter if South Carolina went over or under the screen, they recovered very fast. They recovered so well that it was almost like they didn't even have to recover from anything. They saw the screens coming. Their team was very vocal about those screens coming towards them, and they were able to adapt and get around those screens and be able to contest those threes that UConn loves to shoot so much. South Carolina disrupted UConn so much to the point where their threes were not dropping, so they decided to drive in. But instead of driving in and looking for this shot, they were driving in and looking for the foul. And unfortunately for UConn, the foul is something that they are used to getting every single game, although they are the ones with the aggressive defense. And it just turns out this game, the refs were calling all of their hacks. Defense wise, UConn was, I'm gonna say, moderate, because although they were good on defense and they did stop a lot of South Carolina's shots, obviously not enough. But since they were good on executing, South Carolina shot, I want to say, only about 38% from the field compared to UConn's 31% of that field goal percentage. Neither team's balls were just oiled up in the net. It wasn't like that. Um, this game, the refs were definitely letting them play, but UConn has a tendency to hack, and this has been shown all season. It has yet to be corrected, and since it went uncorrected, when they got to the Final Four, the refs were not as lenient. They were out rebounded defensively 33-23. Last but not least, I do want to point out that another major reason why UConn lost is that their top players did not produce. And like I said in the beginning, UConn has two of the most phenomenal players in the entire country on their team, AZ Fudd and Sarah Strong. AZ Fudd in this game had only 8 points and went 3 for 15 from the field and 2 of 9 from the 3-point line. She had 1 rebound and 5 assists. We can live with the 1 rebound and 5 assists if she just shot more. If her shot is off, AZ Fudd is not very quick to adapt. And this has been an ongoing thing that their coach Gino Oriyama has talked about, that he wants her to shoot her shot. He wants her to keep on shooting. She's AZ Fudd, for crying out loud. She's almost at a 50% 3-point percentage. You're AZ Fudd, you need to be shooting way more shots. And the way that AZ is always having a problem being the aggressor, not saying that she's not aggressive at all, because she is definitely an aggressive player, but when it comes to those game time situations and her shot is off, AZ does not do well in those predicaments. And that is something that definitely worries me about her future in the WNBA. UConn's second top player, Sarah Strong, she had 12 points, 4 for 16 from the field. She was 2 for 5 from the 3-point line, 12 rebounds, thank the Lord, and 1 assist. Yes, she was on the board, but the rest of UConn was nowhere to be found. Sarah Strong also needed impact in all 4 quarters, which did not happen. Sarah Strong's first points in the second half came with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. When your best players aren't efficient, your system has to carry you, and for UConn, the system did not carry them to the finish line. UConn does not flow unless everyone is involved. That is just simply how their program works, and it's been working for them. So why isn't it working now? Scouting report, scouting report, scouting report, scouting report. If all the other teams would have just scouted freaking UConn to the best of their abilities, like South Carolina did for this Final Four game, they would have seen that they're always driving in, kicking out, driving in, kicking out. You have to smother, and you have to be able to recover on defense if you're going to smother them. Those 3 aspects that I just went over are majority of the reason why UConn lost. Their offense collapsed, South Carolina disrupted their system, and most importantly, their top players did not execute. UConn is a team that depends on rhythm, and once South Carolina cut off that rhythm, they could not recover. And partly due to they haven't faced a lot of adversity this season. It's not about being the best team, it's about being the most adaptable team for that 40 minutes. And also, of course, I cannot end this video without giving a shout out to UCLA. Great job, UCLA, on top of all the adversity that they've faced throughout the years. Great job, and congratulations to Corey Close. She is a phenomenal coach. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let me know in the comments what you think about this UConn loss to South Carolina and what do you think the factors were? And what do you also think about Gino and Dawn Staley's interaction at the end of the game where he kind of bark, bark, no bite at her, you know? And don't forget to tune in next week. We will be discussing WNBA's free agency and the CBA if we get a finalized written offer. The only reason why I haven't went over the CBA yet is because it's still a verbal agreement and I want to make sure we have all the facts before we get to the nitty gritty. Or else, who else would I be?